Hey, everybody, and welcome to yet another episode of Everybody Wants England. And tonight, just to give you a little heads up in case you didn't see the titles that I had listed uh, in the description or the heading, whatever you want to call it, we're going to be talking about Dead and Buried, Galaxy of Terror, which I didn't even know Steve had a Blu ray of, but hence, that's what I watched it on today. And Don't Cry, It's Only Thunder, which I don't have a copy of. I don't even know if there is a physical copy. But Dead and Buried and Galaxy of Terror are both from 1981. And Don't Cry, It's Only Thunder is from 1982. And we're going to get to those really quickly, but I just want to cover some housekeeping stuff before we get into the movies. And of course, I will, as I have been doing, using the Deadites rating scale to give each of these films a rating. Okay. So, what do we got coming up for the rest of the week? So, Wednesday, unless I hear differently from TJ, we are going to be starting the second season of Creep Show, and we're going to be talking about the first half of the episodes. Um, Thursday will be another triple threat review show on Seductive Poison, The Resurgence, and I will be talking about Bad Ronald, Basket Case, and Bay of Blood. So be sure to tune in for that if you want more reviews. It seems to be popular when I do reviews. I guess people just like to know what people's opinions are on these movies. I would imagine. Um, this weekend we have two more watch-alongs plus another movie munchies. These movie munchies are starting to become more popular, of which I am pleased um, to discover that because I didn't know when I first. Oh goodness, I don't know what that is. I was eating some peanuts, but I didn't think that would make that. I haven't had anything on my teeth for a little bit, so sorry about that. That was kind of disgusting. Um, I don't see anybody chatting now. There was a. Hopefully, you guys can see this stream. There was some kind of snafu between StreamYard and YouTube. So if you're trying to comment and I can't see it, it's possible that carried over into that, or nobody's chatting. One of the two. I might just check. Oops. I was just going to check the thing on YouTube. I don't see anything. So, okay. Uh, Thank you, Super Batman Nerd. I do see that. So, hopefully you can see the stream as well. It was something about the viewers not being able to see the streams on people's channels or something. So maybe they worked it out. Um, but the watch alongs for this weekend, Saturday, March 2nd, will be David Cronenberg's Rabid. Followed on Sunday, March 3rd, with Dolores Claiborne. Both of these are going to be taking place at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. At 3 p.m. Eastern Time or thereabouts on Sunday, I will be having another movie munchies for Freddy Krueger Soul Food Pizza. So be sure to join me for that. Hey, Kathy. So I'm seeing y'all's comments, so that is certainly a good sign. All right, so let's go ahead and dive in to talking about these movies, shall we? Okay, so the first one, I've done a watch along for this. I think Jay was on there with me for it. Y'all have probably heard me, at least the regulars around here have heard me talk about Dead and Buried several times. I really did not realize what a gem this movie was. I mean, to me, this movie hits all the bases. With or without Robert Englund, it's a great film. But Robert Englund adds a little something extra to it, and as he always does in whatever he's in, unless they just point blank don't give him anything to do. This was directed by Gary Sherman. Um, And the special effects were done by Mr. Stan Winston, the late great Stan Winston. So we have a little coastal town of Potter's Bluff. And, it looks like your average small town, quaint little schoolhouse, quaint little church, all of those little parts that make up a small town. If you grew up in a small town, when you take a look at how Potter's Bluff is portrayed in Dead and Buried, you'll say, "Oh yeah, I know that place." Whether you lived in a coastal small town or not, the all the I felt at home at first, you know, but as soon it becomes apparent that things are not what they seem in Potter's Bluff, including a really quick scene at the beginning where um, there's a photographer who's taking pictures on the beach. And is a very attractive woman played by, I think it's Lisa Blount, um, who just, shows up out of nowhere and kind of starts coming on to him a little bit and stuff. And then the next thing you know, the other townsfolk are attacking this guy. They throw a fishing net over him and then they it appears that they kill him by setting him on fire and taking pictures. Um, well, really taking pictures before and during the fire. Okay. So what's funny to me now thinking about it is that guy is called Freddie and he's burned. And then Robert Englund, a few years after this, would be in A Nightmare on Elm Street playing a character named Freddy Krueger who gets burned by vengeful parents of kids that he did some nefarious things to. Okay. So at first you're like, what in the hell is going on here? But then we kind of go back into a little bit of normalcy. We've got the sheriff of the town, played by James Ferrantino, who is investigating. We have Robert Englund's character, um, who is, I think he's like a tow truck driver. Um, I'm trying to, one second here. I want to be able to get the names right on everybody. And I told you that Robert Englund adds a little something extra to every film he's in. Um, so Robert Englund plays Harry, the tow truck driver. But Lisa Blount, she's just referred to as the girl on the beach. Melody Anderson's on here playing Janet Gillis, the sheriff's wife. Jack Albertson is on here, from Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. Let's see if there's Christopher Allport's on here. I'm trying to name some people that Barry Corbin is on here playing Phil. So the relationship between the sheriff and his wife seems pretty normal. They seem to be very much in love with each other and have a nice chemistry with each other. The wife is a teacher of elementary school children, and things seem to be going along fairly normally, but every once in a while, people disappear, or they may actually show up dead. Um, the guy Freddie, who was burned, it turns out he's not dead. He's in the hospital with bandages on him. And there's an amazing scene where Lisa Blount's character, dressed as a nurse, just takes a needle and sticks it right in this guy's eye. If you don't believe that this is an amazing scene and a testament to Stan Winston's special effects, then I urge you to watch this. So, Batman Nerd, you say, did you already know that Dead and Buried, or knew that Robert Englund was in Dead and Buried, or did you research his filmography? Well, actually, Super Batman Nerd, the first time I discovered that Robert Englund was in it, it was an accident. I was watching it, and I was like, "Damn, that's Robert Englund in this." So before doing this retrospective, I already knew, and I had seen Dead and Buried several times. But to kind of answer your question there, the first time I watched it, I did not know that Robert Englund was in it. I don't believe so. I discovered it while watching the movie, and that was just a little bit of a cherry on top or icing on the cake or whatever. So you slowly kind of realize the horror of Potter's Bluff along with the sheriff. And I don't want to give too much away because it's really a roller coaster ride of a film, and really ends on a bang. I mean, you're sitting there and you're like, holy shit, that's what was going on here. Now, for those of you that have seen it, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And the atmosphere is just fantastic in this. And I love, to go back to Robert Englund, since this is a retrospective on films that he's in. Robert Englund's character of Harry is just everything you want in one of these kind of character actor roles. Because that's a lot of what Robert Englund was doing early on, primarily until he got the Nightmare on Elm Street gig. But that doesn't mean that these are any less important parts of not only his filmography, but also to the films themselves. He was great in every one of these that I've been able to see, like I said, except in the ones that they don't really utilize him to his full potential, which is sad. The ordeal of Patty Hearst, they did not utilize Robert Englund to his fullest extent. And it looks amazing in 4K, by the way, if you have the ways and means to watch it. I would definitely recommend a for free version first. But this movie is just so great. I would recommend it to anybody and everybody. I really, really would. And that's why I must give it my highest rating, which is 5 deadites out of 5, both for the movie itself and for Robert Englund's performance in the film. So if you've never seen Dead and Buried, I urge you to try to find for a free copy to watch of this film. I really, really think you're going to like it. I really, really do. So that is Dead and Buried. So the next one is, of course, the Roger Corman produced Galaxy of Terror, not only starring Robert Englund, but we've got Aaron Moran on here. We got Grace Zabriskie, Ray Walston, Sid Haig, and Taffy O'Connell, who, for those of you that have seen New Year's Evil, you will know that Taffy O'Connell plays the blonde nurse who's killed near the beginning of the film. Actually, um, unless you count Roz Kelly's uh, or Blaze's assistant as a kill, which technically I guess it is the first kill, but the first big kill is Taffy O'Connell's character in New Year's Evil. Hey, Blissful. So, I really like this movie, and I don't know how I missed it. I really, really don't. Zalman King from Blue Sunshine is also in this. Um, so you have a really great cast, including Edward Albert from The House Where Evil Dwells. This is the young Edward Albert, I must say. Um, or I think it is. Maybe I'm wrong on that. Hold on just one second. I don't want to give y'all wrong information. I may be giving you wrong information there. Let's just double check our facts here. Let's see who he played in here, and then I'll. Yeah, this is the young one because he plays Cabrin. Aaron Moran plays Aluma. Ray Walston plays Core. Zalman King plays Balon. Robert Englund's Ranger. Sid Haig is Quad. Taffy O'Connell plays Demia. And Jack Blessing plays Cause. He looked very familiar to me, but the name doesn't sound familiar. And Grace Zabriskie is Captain Trantor in the film. But so what essentially happens is at the beginning of the film, you see two people talking to each other, or two beings talking to each other. And one of them is got like psychic abilities or something like that. And the other one, you don't see his face. You just see kind of like a red light there and this voice coming out, this very deep voice. And so they're planning for a group or of a crew of they're not really astronauts, I guess, but they are crew members from this ship called the Quest, and they get sent to this planet Morganthus, where they're supposed to find some missing crew members of the starship Remus. So in that way, it's kind of like a ripoff of Alien, basically. But they discover that there's something there waiting for them. And so they have to face their fears or die. So we see at one point Robert Englund is fighting with himself. It's like there's an evil version of him and then a regular version of him that he's fighting with. And then all of a sudden he discovers, oh, this came out of my mind. There's a monster that attacks and rapes Taffy O'Connell in a very spectacular, not good spectacular, but a very crazy rape scene where this creature, alien, whatever you want to call it, rapes Taffy O'Connell's character. I told Steve, though, I was like, that really served no purpose because she died after that. She shows up later as like a zombie-ish character with a lot of the other crew members, but it didn't really serve a purpose to do anything. Like, she didn't give birth to any kind of creature as a result of being raped by this creature. Maybe because it came out of her mind. I don't know. But several of the crew members meet a gruesome demise And then we're finally down to Ray Walston's character and Robert Englund's character, and I believe Edward Albert's character as well. The others are systematically killed off by the creature, albeit figures from their mind. And Grace Zabriskie as well. All of them are basically killed off except for um, Edward Albert's character and Robert Englund's character. So they finally figure out what's going on, that their fears have been killing off the other crew members. And so they're trying to find Core, Ray Walston's character, because Robert Englund is convinced that Core is behind all this. It turns out Core is behind all this. He is the being from the beginning, the master, as they call him, that had the red light and you couldn't see his face. So one thing I'm confused about, and maybe somebody that has seen Galaxy of Terror can explain to me, is where in the heck did Robert Englund's character go? Because, you see him near the end of the film. He's with Edward Albert's character, and Edward Albert is going up this long staircase to find Core. And Robert Englund is there, and he doesn't act like he's dying or anything. It looks a little worse for wear. But then once Edward Albert's character descends the stairs and finds Core, we don't see Robert Englund anymore. So I don't know. I don't know if he just vanished. I'm not sure. But if anybody can help me out with that, I'd certainly appreciate it. Sir Batman Nerd, you say, I went back to the Goodwill that had the Porky's Blu-ray with the Veggie Tales DVD, and it's still there. That is so funny. That is so funny. But, yeah, for a first time watch, I really, really enjoyed Galaxy of Terror. Fun little, low budget sci-fi romp. I will definitely be going back and revisiting this film. If not to see if I can figure out what the hell happened to Robert Englund's character, but just to watch it again. And so I would definitely recommend Galaxy of Terror. Again, I'm going to have to give this one 5 Deadites out of 5 for the movie and for Robert Englund's performance. Robert Englund was in nearly every scene in this movie, so that was an extra bonus. I think he was more in this than he was Dead and Buried. But I liked his performances in both. So that is Galaxy of Terror. And the last one, of course, I don't have a physical copy to show you. I don't even know if there's a physical copy around or available. But I did watch Don't Cry, It's Only Thunder from 1982 on YouTube. There's a pretty decent looking copy on YouTube if you would like to check it out. I have not watched Warm Bodies, Blissful. I think Steve did, though. Super Batman Nerd, you say if you go back for a third time and it's still there, I will buy it. So Don't Cry, It's Only Thunder is not a horror movie. It's based at least partly on a true story of a medic during Vietnam who did great things for the Vietnamese orphans there at the time. So we have Dennis Christopher playing the medic, and then we also have Robert Englund's character of Tripper, which this has got to be one of my favorite roles that he's done, because it was his character was such a bright spot in very dark material for the most part, because they're in Vietnam, it's the middle of a war, American soldiers are dying. Vietnamese are dying. Innocent Vietnamese people are dying, including children. And it's so, you take those bright spots where you can in a movie like this. That did not mean that it was not a great movie. It definitely was. I will highly recommend it. And but to get back to Robert Englund's role, he's friends with Dennis Christopher's character, and he plays the character Tripper, and he's the guy with the goods, albeit dope, basically. But he's just so funny and good natured in this movie that you can't even dislike him for basically being the guy that gets all the good shit and hands it out to everybody else. For the most part, the drug use seems to be pretty tame and non-threatening and all that. You don't see anybody doing any LSD or PCP or anything like that. But from the moment you see Robert Englund's character bust in through the door, when you see Tripper bust in on Dennis Christopher's character, uh, you're just like, I love this guy. I love this guy. I'm going to follow this guy and Dennis Christopher through this entire movie. Robert Englund shows up in a number of scenes in this, not quite as much as Galaxy of Terror, but he is also basically, I believe, an ambulance driver, is what he is. So Dennis Christopher's character is a medic. Tripper is the ambulance driver. So Dennis Christopher's character is kind of, he's not cold hearted, but he's very cynical at first. He only sees, death and destruction, basically, which is probably what a lot of people saw in Vietnam and other war torn areas. Um, but so that is before he meets a Vietnamese orphan named Han, who a friend who was seriously wounded, another soldier, tells him, you have to find Han and make sure she's safe. So he basically falls in love with this little girl. I mean, in a platonic way, and he wants to adopt her. But unfortunately, something before he can do so, because he's eventually going to be able to go home and leave Vietnam and go home, because his duty has ended. And unfortunately, something tragic happens to Han, and he is not able to adopt her. But he does go to the orphanage, and he helps a lot of other children. And Susan St. James, I think, she plays a doctor. And so Dennis Christopher, Robert Englund, and Susan St. James all go to this orphanage and help these kids out. Very heartwarming scenes of them all interacting, especially Robert Englund interacting with kids. It's kind of, watching him play that part, it's kind of hard to even begin to imagine him playing Freddy Krueger, who was a killer of children. And possibly a molester of children, depending on who you ask. But really, really good film. I would highly recommend it. And like I said, go now on YouTube. As soon as you can, just in case they take this movie off of YouTube, because you never know what they're going to do. But Don't Cry, It's Only Thunder from 1982, a fantastic little film. And so that means that I'm going to have to give all the movies from tonight 5 deadites out of 5, because they were all enjoyable in some way, shape, or form. And Robert Englund's addition to the cast was just icing on the cake for each and every one of them. So let's see. Blissful, you say it was so hard for the soldiers to adopt children and bring them to America. Yeah. Surveyman Nerd, you say, I could tell you that halfway into the first one, Bliss at Lawson and Edward sparkled in the sunlight. I noticed y'all were talking about Twilight. Um, but so anyway, that is the movies I wanted to talk about tonight. I can probably stay on here a few more minutes. Like I always say, the Stephen King ones, unless I have somebody on here with me, like I had Jay on here with me for Stephen's Kingdom last night. I don't normally stay on here very long. It's basically giving a little description of the movies and reviewing them and talking about Robert Englund's part in them. But what I'm going to attempt to talk about next Tuesday is a film called The Mysterious Two from 1982, Journey's End, and The Fighter, both from 1983. And we're going to see if I can find all of those movies so I can watch them. And then the following week, Starflight, The Plane That Couldn't Land from 1983, V from 1983, and I Want to Live also from 1983. And then we're getting ever closer to starting to talk about the Nightmare on Elm Street series. Kathy, you say, I watch Sometimes They Come Back, and I watched When a Stranger Calls last night. Awesome. I'd love to hear what you thought about them, Kathy, unless you want to save it for a time that you're actually live on here. Blissful says, Kathy, I love both of those movies. I'm a horror newbie. Well, you two ladies aren't going to be horror newbies for very much longer. If you keep hanging out with me and Jay and some of the other crew, you'll be non-horror newbies, non-newbies, or whatever. So I'll stay on here 2 or 3 more minutes. So if you guys want to ask me anything or comment on anything or make any suggestions or anything, just be kind, because I'm sensitive sometimes. Blissful, you say, I really love how he's had so many roles. I do too, Blissful, with Robert Englund. I am absolutely loving going back and watching stuff from early in his career, because I just had no idea. Kathy, you say you got lost at the end of When a Stranger Calls. So what lost you? Maybe I can help out. I don't know, but maybe maybe I can. Oh God, I'm glad I never got any candy hearts with Twilight packaging. Blissful. Ooh, I guess I missed out on that, thankfully. So I hope everybody had a great day today. We had another not quite as warm of a day as we did yesterday, and I think it's going to turn off a little bit cooler the next couple of days. Katie, you say, is the old man evil the doctor's friend? Uh, no. I don't believe so. I don't think that was meant to be the case, Kathy. Blitzer, you say it was a beautiful day, 65 degrees. Yeah, I mean, we were a little bit warmer than that, but it was just so gloomy today. It would have been better if the sun was out, I think. The sun was out yesterday, and it was about 75 degrees at the end of the day. But hey, TJ, you say England goes from the sweetest to the most evil from B to Elm Street. Yeah, he had a lot of, several other sweet roles early on prior to V. Kathy says, very warm here, laundry day. But I hate to go when TJ and maybe some others have dropped in. However, a new piece of equipment came in for me today. Some of you may know what that is. Um, and I may see if I can get it all hooked up and ready to go. By TJ. Um, I would love hanging laundry out too, girls, but Steve won't put me up any clothesline, so can't do that. I always remember my mom hanging out clothes. Blissful says, "Yay!" Super Batman Nerd says, "Claw that like button." And Kathy, I agree. It really makes them smell good when you hang the laundry out. But I guess I'm going to skedaddle on out of here for now. But I want to thank everybody for joining me for another Everybody Wants England. Uh, be sure to join me and TJ tomorrow night to cover the first group of episodes from season 2 of Creep Show and the Seductive Poison, the Resurgence Triple Threat Review Show, the Midday with Dana and Jay on Friday. And I think I forgot to say that earlier. Jay's going to get me. And keep your eyes peeled for a new TMI t-shirt design, which I've been discussing with Jay, and I think I talked about with Kathy and Blissful. So just keep your eyes peeled for that. And Sue Batman Nerdy said, I wonder if everyone is waiting for Freddy films. They could be Super Batman Nerd. That my numbers might spike when I get to the Nightmare on Elm Street stuff, but you know, if they're waiting just for that, I think they're missing out on a lot of really good films. Because I had no idea that Robert Englund was in so many fantastic films and was so fantastic in them. Um, and you're getting a chance to see him, even though Robert Englund's face and stuff like that kind of shines through the makeup when he's playing Freddy Krueger. You get to see Robert Englund sans makeup, special effects makeup, which I think is just absolutely amazing. But anyway, I am going to get out of here for now, but I will be seeing all of you very soon, I hope. And everybody have a good night. Have a wonderful, restful night. And we'll be ready to start all over again tomorrow, all right? So I'll see everybody next time. Bye.